First of all, you ask me to renounce work. And then again, you recommend work in devotion, work with devotion. Now, will you kindly tell me definitely which of the two is more beneficial? So, between verses 1 to 7, Krishna explained to Arjuna that renunciation of work, both renunciation of work and work in devotion, are beneficial. Why? Because they lead to the same ultimate goal. But of the two, work in devotion is better. Then this work in devotion is actually Bhagavad Arpita Niskama Kama Yoga, whereby one is attached to the work, but is not attached to the result of the work. And at a point, it becomes attached to knowledge also, because knowledge comes out when you begin to work with detachment. So work in devotion means Bhagavad Arpita Niskama Kama Yoga. And when that matures, it matures into Bhakti. So Ashtanga Yoga is there, then Bhakti Yoga is also there. But before Ashtanga is there. But in explaining Kama Yoga or action in Krishna consciousness, Jnana was included because Jnana is churned out from this renounced work. So was included in Kama Yoga. And that's why in this next chapter, Krishna decided to go straight to Ashtanga Yoga. But then, after explaining that work in devotion is actually better, is equal to better than renunciation. Now, Krishna explained in the next 5 verses, verses 8 to 12, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. 4 verses. Krishna explained how to do this Bhagavad Arpita Niskama Kama Yoga. How to do Bhagavad Arpita Niskama Kama Yoga. So he explained about the Yoga Yukta, how the Yoga Yukta must be Visuddhatma, his intelligence must be purified. It should be Vijitatma, his mind must be purified, and it should be Jitendriya, his intelligence must be purified. You see, so when one walks in that purified consciousness, what does he achieve? He will end up having knowledge, very great knowledge arising from that devotion, churned out from the wood of Niskama Kamaya. Then from verses 13, 14, 15, 13, 14, 15, Krishna explained the relationship between Iswara, Jiva, and Prakriti. God, or in form of the super soul, then Prakriti is material nature, then the individual living entity, Jiva. What is their relationship? And this knowledge constitutes what is called Sambandha Gyan, the science of relationship. And in trying to know who is the actual doer, is it the Jiva that is the doer of activities? Is it Prakriti that is the doer of activity? Or is it the super soul that is the doer of activity? Then Krishna take time to explain. And in the course of the explanation, we gave an analogy of a father going to the gym with his son, and the father ended up lifting very heavy weights to the admiration of the son. And the son, also unknown to the unseen by the father, he went to the other side of the gym and was trying to lift similarly heavy weights. And when the father saw him, the father smiled, said, "This is too much for this guy." So he went Nicodemously, unseen by the Father. He went behind and helped the Son to lift the weight. The Son did not see that it was the Father that was lifting the weight. He lifted the weight, and everybody thought, hey, this boy, he tried, or he lifted the weight. So we ask a question, and in actuality, who is the doer? Who is the one that lifted the weight? Then some people said it is the boy, others said it is the father, someone said it is the hand of the father, and actually the hand of the father represents material nature, the father represents the super soul, and the boy represents the individual soul. So if you analyze carefully, everyone is right. The father that lifted the weight, but it was the desire of the son, and the material nature of the hands were used as instrument to lift the weight. So both are right. So in conclusion, there are three doers. In every activity in our life, there are three doers. First, the individual living entity, by desiring, is a doer. Material nature used as instrument is also the doer. Then the father, the super soul, who sanctioned the activity, is also the doer. So there are three doers. But the primary doer is the son for desiring. So we advise that we should be very, very careful about what we desire, because the Lord will fulfill our desires. So if we purify our desire, we desire properly how to become a proper devotee, the Lord will fulfill that desire also. And when the Lord fulfills the desire, when the Lord fulfills the desires, it becomes like the desire is already fulfilled. The Son has done it. And another example given in that connection was the story of the sparrow. The sparrow desired to dry the ocean because the ocean carried his, swept away his eggs. But the sparrow is very tiny by nature. So on his own, he cannot really dry the ocean. But he was so determined. He was so determined to dry the ocean. So in that determination, he started. He pick a little drop of water, he fly very many miles, go and drop it and come back again. The news went around the universe, and Garuda heard it. And Garuda said, huh? Is that true? Then he went to observe. He saw that it was true. Then he decided to come and intervene. Say, hey, ocean, you return the egg now. Otherwise, I will personally dry you up. Then the ocean, out of fear of Garuda, you see, out of fear of Garuda, the ocean returned the egg. So the bird, the sparrow, has gotten his eggs back. So his desire to get the eggs, his determination to get the eggs back, is the primary cause. Garuda being is like intervention by material nature, but it is the Lord in the heart who inspired Garuda to go and intervene. So this is how things happen. So each person, you and me, we should be responsible. We should be ready to take responsibility for whatever is happening in our lives, because it is our desires that are being fulfilled. So, but then we have the choice to desire rightly, desire only what is going to facilitate our devotional service, in obedience to the Sarva Dharma Parityaja verse of Bhagavad Gita. And the number two components of surrender, one is to embrace only those things, accept only those things that are favorable to the execution of the devotional service, and reject all those things that are unfavorable to devotional service. So this is the verse 15 to 16. Then if one has strong determination, the determination actually ignites, is the active force. Determination is the active force that makes things to happen, that attract divine intervention. So if we are determined, fixed in wanting to become proper devotees, Krishna will facilitate. Then we say this knowledge removes ignorance. If one has that proper knowledge that the super soul is the secondary cause, material nature is the instrument, and the individual soul is the primary cause. Such knowledge, or this not such knowledge, it removes any kinds of ignorance. So when ignorance is removed, the living entity takes shelter of the super soul and attains liberation. Because at this point, you know that any strong desire, if it desires strongly to attain liberation, the super soul will facilitate it. So with that conviction, he desires and he sharpens it with determination and with scriptural, backing. Then the super soul will actually fulfill his desire, making him feel. Then in verse Krishna described the results of such determination in verse 16. Then, and that is where verse says, when, however, one is enlightened with the knowledge by which necessity is destroyed, then his knowledge reveals everything as the sun lights up everything in the daytime. You see? That knowledge by which necessity is destroyed, knowledge about the Lord, the individual soul, and material nature and their relations. When one is enlightened by such knowledge, nothing becomes hidden. That is when you come to know that number one doer is individual living entity. The number two doer is material nature. The number three doer is a neutral super soul. So when one is equipped with this knowledge, that knowledge removes all ignorance and it lights up everything as the sun lights up everything in the daytime. Okay? So when ignorance is removed, the living entity takes shelter of the super soul and he attains liberation in the process. Then again, what are the impartiality of those who transcend the material world in this way? One of those who have that knowledge, they become naturally impartial. They start to see everything, as being approved by the super soul, and they begin to see the soul in every living entity, the super soul in every living entity. Then such persons are called the humble sage, that by virtue of knowledge, true knowledge, short knowledge, they see with equal vision. The learned Brahmana, the cow, an elephant, the dog, and the dog eater. And when that happens, what happens next? When that happens, that's what happens next. Are those whose mind are established in sameness and equanimity, those who are able to see the super soul in all living entity, they become flawless like Brahman. Just like Krishna, they become flawless. So such a devotee is already liberated. And more of the characteristics of such devotees are mentioned in the next verse. That a person who neither rejoices upon achieving something pleasant and laments upon obtaining something unpleasant, and who is self-intelligent, who is unbewildered, and who knows the signs of God, is already situated in transcendence. So, yes. And in the next verse, in the next two verses or slokas, Krishna tells Arjuna why sensual desires are foolish. So, if we desire, the super soul will fulfill the desires. So we should not desire sensual desires for sense gratification that are available for cats and dogs. We should not desire sensuality. That to desire sense gratification for somebody who has realized that the Lord will fulfill our desires is a fool. So the next two verses, first say, an intelligent person does not take part in the sources of mystery, which are due to contact with material. O son of Kunti, such pleasures have a beginning and an end, and therefore a wise man does not delight in them. Then before giving up so these next two verses describe that. Then verse 24, Krishna gives more symptoms of one seeking satisfaction in the spirit, one who is seeking satisfaction in self-realization in activities of devotion. One who no longer look for sources, material sense gratification for pleasure, that are looking for spiritual gratification, who are fixed in that determination to attain or to enter the path of liberation. See, so more of his characteristics or symptoms are given in verse 25, where the Lord says, those who are beyond the dualities that arise from doubts, whose minds are engaged within, who are always busy working for the welfare of all living beings, and who are free from all sins, achieve liberation in the supreme. Then verses 26. In verses 26, Krishna, he speaks reassuringly. He assures that yes, what he has said is true. And those who truly follow that conclusion, they will attain liberation. And he will personally assist them. Then after giving this brief preview of chapter 6, after explaining this, Krishna gave a brief preview of chapter 6 in 2 verses. He gave a brief preview of chapter 6 in 2 verses, whereby he described the way of the austerities, how Astanga Yoga practice, how to practice Astanga Yoga in the way of meditation, ending up in Samadhi. He explains all that. Then verse 29, Krishna gave how to attain peace, even in the battlefield. The peace formula was given in verse 29. And that's how the chapter ended. And then as the chapter ended, Krishna continued with this meditation, how to do Astanga Yoga. And he started describing, and that was what we did yesterday. That's what we did yesterday. And in verse 3 specifically, there are 2 stages of Astanga Yoga that at the beginning stage of Astanga Yoga, one is called Yoga Ruda. Yoga Rukshu. Yoga Rukshu at the beginning stage. So such a person is to control all material desires. To be able, at the beginning stage, one must control all material desires, all desires for sense gratification, and all desire for fruitive activity. Because to attain sense gratification, the means is fruitive activities. Give up desire for sense gratification. Give up the means also. And be situated in self-control. Then, at the beginning, the beginner, the sadhaka, he needs this seriously. But for one who has attained self-control already, cessation is what is needed. That is, to give up all desire for control or lording over. He needs cessation. Why this other person needs cessation? So the pure devotees, their needs are different from our needs. But they still come down to do devotional service, regulated devotional activities, just to show us example and also to encourage us. So they are doing all that we are doing. But their needs are different, because a lot of things will come to them, their own is to just renounce the things in Krishna consciousness, engage those. While we are looking for those things are looking for the pure devotees. And devotees are pushing them, pure devotees are pushing them back. So anyway, so this is where we are. We got to verse 9. And before we go to verse 9, we talked about how a devotee who is advancing in the Yoga Ruruksha stage, he sees, or one who has advanced from Yoga Ruruksha to Yoga Ruda, that means one who is already becoming pure. He sees both the pebbles, the stones, and every other thing as the same. That is, he sees everything, whether it be pebbles, stones, or gold, as the same. The same equal vision we experienced in chapter 5. This is how a one who has attained Yoga Rudra, who has attained the goal of Ashtanga Yoga, also experiences. He sees everything as the same because he does not have desire for sense gratification. That's why he sees everything as the same. He give him gold, it's not elated. If he doesn't have gold, it's not disturbed. He's just neutral. And therefore, whatever comes his way, he engages in the service of the Lord. He doesn't hanker, he does not lament. So such person is already situated in transcendence. Then the chapter, the verse 9, is explaining that even that perfected stage of perfection, there are two stages. There is the beginning stage. The beginning stage is seen with equal vision. Things that are inanimate, stones, pebbles, birds. In the next verse, when it becomes still further advanced, he sees both animate objects, friends, enemy, they are mentioned there. So a person is considered still further advanced when he regards honest well-wishers, affectionate benefactors, the neutral, mediators, the envious, friends and enemies, the pious and the sinners, all with an equal mind. That means this one who sees animate objects, animate objects like human beings in form of friends, enemy, who see duality, who do not see duality in human beings of all kinds, is still further advanced than those who don't see differences in inanimate things. So this is where we stopped yesterday. This is where we stopped yesterday. So in verses 10 to 32, Krishna described the practices of Ashtanga Yoga, like the sadhana of an Ashtanga yogi. How to do Ashtanga Yoga. First, he describes those who are on the advanced stage of Ashtanga Yoga. Then later, he describes those who are in the beginning stage of Ashtanga Yoga. So this is where we are. Those who have attained, who have attained like in the beginning stage of perfection in Ashtanga Yoga, what are their characteristics? How do they do their yoga? So it describes the practices of Ashtanga Yoga, first in the perfected stage and then in the beginning stage. So verse 10, let us read. Yogi yunjita sataram atmanam rahasistita ekaki yatachitatma nirasi aparigra. A transcendentalist should always engage his body, mind, and self in relationship with the Supreme. He should live alone in a secluded place and should always carefully control his mind. He should be free from desires and feelings of possessiveness. He should be free from desires and feelings of possessiveness. So, purport, somebody should read the purport.
Ayusha. Purport. Krishna is realized in different degrees as Brahman, Paramatma, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna consciousness means concisely to be always engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. But those who are attached to the impersonal Brahman or the localized super soul are also partially Krishna conscious, because the impersonal Brahman is the spiritual ray of Krishna, and the super soul is the all-pervading partial expansion of Krishna. Thus, the impersonalist and the meditator are also indirectly Krishna conscious. A directly Krishna conscious person is the topmost transcendentalist, because such a devotee knows what is meant by Brahman and Paramatma. His knowledge of the absolute truth is perfect, whereas the impersonalist and the meditative yogi are imperfectly Krishna conscious. Nevertheless, all of these are instructed herewith to be constantly engaged in their practical pursuits so that they may come to the highest perfection sooner or later. The first business of a transcendentalist is to keep the mind always on Krishna. One should always think of Krishna and not forget him, even for a moment. Concentration of the mind on the Supreme is called samadhi or trance. In order to concentrate the mind, one should always remain in seclusion and avoid disturbance by external objects. He should be very careful to accept favorable and reject unfavorable conditions that affect his realization. And in perfect determination, he should not hanker after unnecessary material things that entangle him by feelings of possessiveness. All these perfections are and repercussions are perfectly executed when one is directly in Krishna consciousness. Because direct Krishna consciousness means abnegation, wherein there is very little chance for material possessiveness. Srila Rupa Goswami characterized Krishna consciousness in this way: Anasaktasya Visayan Yatarhan Upayanjata Nirbanda Krishna Sambande Yuktam Vairagyam Uchyate. Prapansikataya Buddhya Hari Sambandi Vastunaha Mumukshubi Parityoga Vairagyam Falgu Katyate. When one is not attached to anything, but at the same time accepts everything in relation to Krishna, one is rightly situated above possessiveness. On the other hand, one who rejects everything without knowledge of his relationship to Krishna is not as complete in his renunciation. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 225 to 256. A Krishna conscious person well knows that everything belongs to Krishna, and thus he is always free from feelings of personal possessions. So, as such, he has no hankering for anything on his own personal account. He knows how to accept things in favor of Krishna consciousness and how to reject things unfavorable to Krishna consciousness. He is always aloof from material things because he is always transcendental, and he is always alone, having nothing to do with persons not in Krishna consciousness. Therefore, a person in Krishna consciousness is a perfect yogi. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. A person in Krishna consciousness is perfect yoga. We are describing Krishna is giving this knowledge of Astanga yoga to satisfy Arjuna that all these yoga processes that he is familiar with, they are true. They can bring somebody to the ultimate goal, but it's they are very, very difficult compared to the process of action in Krishna consciousness. So he's explaining this. There are so many yogis who go to the forest to meditate without having proper knowledge of the relationship of everything with Krishna. People do not see properly how everything is related. They don't have this knowledge of how Krishna is the source of everything and how everything was engaged. They don't have that knowledge. So those who renounce like that, they are like the river Falgu. Those who do not see things in relationship with Krishna but renounce them as very objects of distraction, they are like they are immature. They are compared to be like river Falgu. River Falgu is a river in India whereby the top is full of sand. If you look at it from the outside, you will not know that there is water under. But when you put your leg there, your leg will make bloop. it will pass through the town, all under its water. So renunciation without understanding the relationship of things with Krishna is compared to that river Falgu. Inside the deep inside the mind of the meditating yogi, he has a lot of desires to fulfill. But physically, you don't see the mind, so you don't see the desire. But externally, he has gone to sit in a secluded place in the forest, whereas his mind is roaming all over the universe. So such a yogi is not considered mature because there is no purification yet. So renunciation without purification, it will eventually lead to fall down and degradation. Therefore, before renunciation, one must get purified. How do you get purified? By doing your niskama kama yoga, activities in Krishna consciousness. Don't falsely renounce the senses. Rather, is to learn the science of engaging the senses in the service of. That's why only Krishna consciousness, only Bhakti yoga give that process whereby even the senses can be engaged. And by that engagement, we're able to sing with our mouth, play carolas with our hand, read scripture and speak the scripture, able to worship the deities, take prasadam, chant Maha mantra. We engage the senses. And this is the beauty. This is what makes, because we see everything in relationship with Krishna, we are able to master the art and science of engaging everything in the service of Krishna. That is secure. As opposed to the process where you go and sit and meditate, whereas your mind is full of all kinds of desires. You see? So that is it. So this is the stage that a Krishna conscious person he well knows that everything belongs to Krishna, and thus he is always free from feelings of personal possession. As such, he knows how to accept things in favor of Krishna consciousness and how to reject things unfavorable to Krishna consciousness. Transcendental and is always alone to do with persons consciousness. This is the perfect yoga. So we are fortunate to, according to the direct verses, that when one is not attached to anything, but at the same time accept everything in relation to Krishna, one is rightly situated above possessiveness. On the other hand, this is the Falgu side. On the other hand, one who rejects everything without knowledge of their relationship with Krishna, it's in its renunciation. His renunciation is called Falgu Vairagya or Falgu renunciation, false renunciation. So this is it. That here, Krishna in the previous verses described the Yogaruda stage very nicely, and how we should have fixed intelligence, and how one who has attained Yogaruda, he has theoretical knowledge also, but he has knowledge from the super soul also. Because he has purified his consciousness, therefore he's getting the dictations. He's hearing the dictations from the super soul, and that confirms the external knowledge. So such a person becomes very, very fixed. The one who has a highest ladder of Astanga Yoga, he becomes very, very fixed. His intelligence is fixed because theoretically he knows, and also he has gotten realization and dictations from the super soul. The super soul talks and he hears. So it's very, very advanced. Very, very advanced. And such a person, after Krishna explained that stage, then Krishna now explained that this is how to practice yoga on that platform. Well, if you have attained that level of steadiness, that you must be first a nirasi, completely free from material desires and possessiveness. Then he must be a kaki, It must be a nirasi, free from possessiveness. Also, that means ekaki means alone. You must be in a secluded place. You should not try to mingle with people, and that is Ashtanga yoga or not Bhakti yoga. Then it should be rahasi. Yes, that means it should not even be accompanied by his disciples. If you have attained people following you, and when you want to go and do Ashtanga yoga on the high level, your disciples should not follow you. Not that you are there, you are expecting your disciples to do things for you. No, you are renouncing. So Ashtanga yoga process demands that you go alone and stay in a secluded place. That means you will not care for the needs of the body anymore. So why do you need a disciple? If there is nothing to eat, you remain meditating for years, just like Dhruva Maharaj did. At the time, he ate only dry leaf once in every 3 months. At a point, he stopped breathing for maybe 6 months continuously. He breathed only once. So it's a very tedious process that requires serious concentration. Dhruva Maharaj was doing Ashtanga yoga, not Bhakti yoga. He was able to attain perfection, but it was not easy. Okay? So, in his purpose, Srila Prabhupada now he brings Krishna's discussion to its highest point by discriminating and then emphasizing Bhakti, the topmost yoga practice, which Krishna himself will describe in the final verse of this chapter. Srila Prabhupada's purpose additionally describes how the direct practice of Bhakti automatically fulfills the rigorous requirements of Ashtanga yoga. In this purport we read, Krishna explained, Srila Prabhupada explained that all that could be attained by this rigorous Ashtanga yoga process are easily attainable by Bhakti. So this test is a glorification of Bhakti yoga over Ashtanga yoga. Having said that, let us see more of the sadhana of an Ashtanga yogi. Let us see more. Madam Murari, are you in a place to read Sanskrit? Otherwise, Raghupati, read the Sanskrit, 2 verses. Otherwise, I overthrow you.
Prabhu.
Yeah. 11, 12.
Prabhu, please, my Bhagavad Gita is here. I'm in a temple. I'm going to take the temple's Bhagavad Gita.
So you are a devotee without a student without Bhagavad Gita. Okay. If you should go to meet Purushottam Yatra in the education office, there is a Gita there. You can use that one. Okay. So sadese pratistapya stiram asanam atmana nati uchitram nati nicham shalajina kusotaram tatrai kagamana kritva yatachitandriya kriya upavisya sane yunjyat yogam atma visudaye. To practice yoga, one should go to a secluded place and should lay kusa grass on the ground and then cover it with a deer skin and a soft cloth. The seat should be neither too high nor too low and should be situated in a sacred place. The yogi should then sit on it very firmly and practice yoga to purify the heart by controlling its mind, senses, and activities, and fixing the mind on one point. Purpose. Who is reading the purpose?
Purpose. Sacred place refers to places of pilgrimage. In India, the yogis, the transcendentalists, or the devotees all leave home and reside in sacred places such as Prayaga, Mathura, Vrindavan, Rishikesh, and Hardwar. And in sacred practice, yoga where the sacred rivers like the Yamuna and the Ganges flow. But often this is not possible, especially for Westerners. The so-called yoga societies in big cities may be successful in earning material benefits, but they are not at all suitable for the actual practice of yoga. One who is not self-controlled and whose mind is not undisturbed cannot practice meditation. Therefore, in the Brihannadeya Purana, it is said that in Kali Yuga, the 10th Yuga or age, when people in general are short-lived, slow in spiritual realization, and always disturbed by various anxieties, the best means of spiritual realization is chanting the holy name of the Lord. Harinama, Harinama, Harinama Ibake Balam. Kalo Nastiva, 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 Gatir Anyata. In this age of quiet and hypocrisy, the only means of deliverance is chanting the holy name of the Lord. There is no other way. There is no other way. There is no other way. Hare Krishna.
Have you gotten the gist? In Ashtanga Yoga, you are expected to practice it in a secluded place. And in that secluded place, you need to get kusa grass first. You put the kusa grass down. The kusa grass have the potency to deflect snakes and other dangerous insects. So you put kusa grass, then you put deer skin, then you put a cloth on top, then you sit on it, and you have to sit very straight, erect, with half closed eyes, staring at the tip of your nose. Your back has to be very straight. Then with half closed eyes, you start meditating on the super soul. Try controlling the mind. Anywhere the mind goes, you withdraw it. It is a process that was practicable in previous ages where people lived for 100,000 years. So we had stories of Subharamuni and other yogis who meditated for 60,000 years and above. But it is not possible now because at that time the mode of goodness was prevalent. But now the mode of passion and ignorance are so dominant that you can't sit in one place for more than even 5 minutes. So how can you practice Ashtanga Yoga? And first, you have to go to places like Mathura, Vrindavan, Rishikesh, and other holy places where the river Ganges is flowing. Then by the side of the Ganges, now you sit in those postures and begin to practice. See? So this is not possible in this age. Though there are yoga practitioners who are doing yoga in the cities, and this is like a joke. What they are practicing is not yoga, it's bodybuilding for self gratification. They try to build their body so that they can be fit for self gratification. That is what they are doing. And it is condemned. The purpose of yoga should not be for self gratification, bodybuilding for self gratification, good health for self gratification. No. The purpose of yoga is to realize the super soul. So this in this age is not possible. And the possible process, the only possible process recommended for this age is Harinama, Harinama, Harinama Eva Kevala, Kalauna Sieva Sieva Gati Anyata. You see, that in this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, the only means of deliverance is chanting the holy name of the Lord. There is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way. This is emphasis. Okay? Emphasize that there is no other way. Okay? So the aspiring yogi must live alone, first of all. Live alone, free from fear, free from attachments. He has to sit still, not stand or sleep or rocking back and forth as you are chanting japa and sometimes dozing. No. And it focus his mind. You have to sit still, focus your mind. Your back fully erect, your eyes half open. He must sit on his own asana. You have your own asana, just as President will carry his own mat to come and put it. Only that one, only him will use it. Not another's asana. Because asana or kamandalus or pots and cloths should not be shared. So Srila Prabhupada described aspects of the sitting place. That is in the purport. Srila Prabhupada has already explained aspects of the sitting place. That society practice appear means it must be situated in a very sanctified place. Shiram Asanam Atmanam. The asana, the sitting place, should not be changed. Only one place, one specific place every day. Should go there. And you should not share your kusa grass or your cloth or with anybody. Only you. How some pujaris usually do. They don't share their mat with somebody. They have their own mats. And that's how it should be. And how should the sitting place be selected? It's supposed to be near a river, holy river. It should not be too high. It should not be too low. Then you arrange the seat there, and every day you go there to sit down and do your meditation. Okay? And then deer skin. Yogis sit on deer skin of a tiger. Yes, they stick on either the skin of a tiger or the skin of a deer. Why? Because they are in a secluded place. And these skins, they have some chemical effects. They repel some insects and dangerous creepers. If you sit on a deer skin, then reptiles and snakes won't disturb you. And Srila Prabhupada gave this in a lecture in the West. If you sit on deer skin or tiger skin, snakes and other reptiles will not disturb you. So to practice Ashtanga Yoga properly, you must have kusa grass, you must have deer skin, you must have some other clothes, the clothes that you can wash regularly. And you must use the same clothes, you must sit in the same place. And in that way, you sit very erect with your back straight. Okay, that is the next bit. So let us just read the next bit. We are not going to deliberate so much on this because we are not here to practice Ashtanga Yoga, but we are just giving a hint of what it is to practice Ashtanga Yoga. And in the end, the Prabhupada will bring them together, put Ashtanga Yoga side by side with Bhakti Yoga, so that you can see the glaring difference. This is in obedience to the law of contrast. That when things of opposite nature are juxtaposed, when they are placed side by side, their differences become more glaring. This is the law of contrast. So Srila Prabhupada is trying to explain this Ashtanga Yoga process. Then he will juxtapose it. We put it side by side with Bhakti Yoga so that you can see the glaring difference. Then you make your choice. You want to go for Ashtanga yoga even after knowing how difficult it is, or you want to go for Bhakti yoga. The preachers use this a lot, and this is what the Prabhupada is using right now. The law of contrast in action. So 13, 14, verses 13 and 14. Saman kayo stiro grivam darayan chalam stira sampreksya nasi. Okay, sampreksya nasika gram swam disas chavanalokayan prasantatma vigatavi brahmachari vratestita mana samyamya machito yukta asita matpara. One should hold one's body, neck and head erect in a straight line and stare steadily at the tip of the nose. Thus, with an unagitated, subdued mind, devoid of fear, completely free from sex life, one should meditate upon me within the heart and make me the ultimate goal of life. This is Ashtanga Yoga. Very, 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 very serious process. Rigorous. Not recommended for this age. But Krishna is talking about it so that you want to let Arjuna see that yes, action in Krishna consciousness is easier, is simpler. It will grant you that same goal that you will get if you do Ashtanga Yoga. It will grant you very easily and also faster. To grant you faster. So decide. You want to do Ashtanga Yoga or you want to do Kama Yoga, action in Krishna consciousness? You want to ask him this question. Purport, please. Anandajit, purport. Yes.
Hare Krishna. The goal of life is to know Krishna, who is situated within the hearts of every living being as Paramatma, the four-handed Vishnu form. The yoga process is practiced in order to discover and see this localized form of Vishnu, and not for any other purpose. The localized Vishnu Murti is the planetary representation of Krishna dwelling within one's heart. One who has no program to realize this Vishnu Murti is uselessly engaged in mock yoga practice and is certainly wasting his time. Krishna is the ultimate goal of life, and the Vishnu Murti situated in one's heart is the object of yoga practice. To realize this Vishnu Murti within the heart, one has to observe complete abstinence from sex life. Therefore, one has to leave home and live alone in a secluded place, remaining seated as mentioned above. One cannot enjoy sex life daily at home or elsewhere and attend a so-called yoga class and thus become a yogi. One has to practice controlling the mind and avoiding all kinds of sense gratification, of which sex life is the thief. In the rules of celibacy written by the great sage Yajnavalkya, it is said, Karmana Manasat Vacha Sarva Vastasu Sarvada Sarvara Maihuna Tichago Brahmanacharya Yam Prachaksati. The vow of Brahmachari, the vow of Brahmacharya, the vow of Brahmacharya is meant to help one completely abstain from sex indulgence in work, words, and mind, all at all times, under all circumstances, and in all places. No one can perform correct yoga practice through sex indulgence. Brahmacharya is taught, therefore, from childhood when one has no knowledge of sex life. Children at the age of 5 are sent to the Gurukula, or the place of the spiritual master, and the master trains the young boys in the strict discipline of becoming brahmacharis. Without such practice, no one can make advancement in any yoga, whether it be dhyana, jnana, or bhakti. One who, however, follows the rules and regulations of marriage life, having a sexual relationship only with his wife, and that also under regulation, is also called a brahmachari.
A brahmachari.
A brahmachari.
Not a brahmachari.
Good. Thank you. Such a restrained householder, brahmachari, may be accepted in the bhakti school, but the jnana and dhyana school do not even admit household the brahmacharis. They require complete abstinence without compromise. In the bhakti school, a householder brahmachari is allowed controlled sex life because the cult of bhakti yoga is so powerful that one automatically loses sexual attraction being engaged in the superior service of the Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita 2, text 59, it is said, Visaya vinivartanti niraharasya dihima rasa varjam rasu pi asya param dristya nivartati. Whereas others are forced to restrain themselves from sense gratification, a devotee of the Lord automatically refrains because of superior taste. Other than that devotee, no one has any information of that superior taste. Vigata B. One cannot be fearless unless one is full in Krishna consciousness. A conditioned soul is fearful due to his perverted memory, his forgetfulness of his eternal relationship with Krishna. The Bhagavatam, Canto 11, text 237 says, Bayam diti yan binive sata Siyat isat apetasya viparyayu smriti. Krishna consciousness is the only basis for fearlessness. Therefore, perfect practice is possible for a person who is Krishna conscious. And since the ultimate goal of yoga practice is to see the Lord within, a Krishna conscious person is already the best of all yogis. The principles of the yoga system mentioned herein are different from those of the popular so-called yoga societies. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for this, for purifying yourself like this. So let us see that the process of Krishna consciousness is glorified again over Ashtanga Yoga. Srila Prabhupada is doing the work of juxtaposition. Krishna himself is doing it. He juxtaposes Ashtanga Yoga with Bhakti Yoga. Then you yourself can judge which is actually better for you and easier for you to practice. So if you look at the Ashtanga Yoga process and you look at the Bhakti Yoga process, nobody should tell you that there is a heaven and hell difference. First, in the Ashtanga Yoga system, sex life is strictly forbidden. In Krishna consciousness, we accept householders also, even in the ashram, to practice this yoga. But in Ashtanga Yoga process, no householder is accepted. That means Anantajit cannot practice Ashtanga Yoga. Directly disqualified. Balabhadra cannot practice Ashtanga Yoga. Bhakta Elvis, Madhava cannot practice Ashtanga Yoga. Maybe only Purushotama and Raghupati. So only Purushotama and Raghupati are qualified to practice Ashtanga Yoga. You see? And even at that, the householders, they should know their level, honestly. Ashtanga Yoga will not accept you. Right from the other, they just disqualify you straight. You are not qualified. You see? But Krishna consciousness is so sweet that householder, regulated householder, is equal to a brahmachari and is accepted. And if we say householders cannot practice, cannot be accepted, what to talk of mothers? Pranapriya Mataji, Jamasavi Mataji, and they are not even considered by Ashtanga yogis. Matajis are outrightly disqualified, just like that. But Srila Prabhupada, in his packaging, even the beginning of before Krishna consciousness, they were not accepting ladies in the ashrams. But Srila Prabhupada saw the need as a special incarnation, as a partial incarnation of the Lord. He knows how to apply the principles according to time, place, and circumstances. When he came to the West, the boys and girls coming to his classes were already boyfriends and girlfriends. They have been like that for long, and he has come to help liberate the soul. So he had to look, if I tell these boys and girls to separate, then they will stop coming. Just be boyfriends and girlfriends. Then they'll be ready to take responsibility. And actually, all the preaching that Prabhupada did, it is these householders. And they did so marvelously well. What the direct brahmachari sannyasis could not do, they did. And the purpose was fulfilled. Devotees are utilitarians. Bhakti yogis are utilitarians. That's why they're able to see everything in relationship with the Lord, and they learn the art and science. Beautiful package we have gotten from Srila Prabhupada. utilitarians. Actually, everything belongs to God. So it is only the mentality to lord over that is to renounce, because everything belongs to God and must be engaged in the service of the Lord. And anything engaged in the service of the Lord, there is purification. Matter regains its original spirituality when engaged in the service of the Lord. Matter becomes spiritualized when engaged in the service of the Lord. So this is the special package by the International Society for Christian Yoga. Learning how to see all material objects with spiritual eyes. All the things we see as so-called material, if you see them with spiritual eyes, you will come to realize that when Krishna says, Aham sarvasya prabhavo, mata sarvam prabhatati, iti matwa bhajantimam Buddha bhava samamvita. I'm the source of both the material and the spiritual world. Everything emanates from, and the wise who understand this engages in my devotional service with all their heart. That is it. Everything actually belongs to Krishna. Both the so-called material and the transformation of his energy. So if the energy is engaged in the service of the energetic, if the energy functions in harmony with the energetic source, then perfection is achieved. So this is the almighty, beautiful process. And by that, this whole world and everything therein, if seen in relationship with the Lord, is spiritual. Well, therefore, you can engage anything at all in the service of the Lord. Just that we are using internet now. We are using Zoom platform. As utilitarians, we learn the art and science of engaging everything in the service of the Lord. This is called Niribanda Krishna Sambande Yukta Vairagyam Uchyate. Lord Chaitanya himself propounded it. And this is the beautiful. But if the Astanga yogis had no such consideration, to them, the whole material world is Maya. Therefore, you have to go and live in the forest and try to save yourself. We are not only saving ourselves by engaging in Krishna consciousness, we are saving ourselves, we are saving others, we are giving others opportunity to connect in a very melodious way. Even children can participate, even animals can participate by taking prasad and listening to Gita. So what a beautiful package. So that is it. That after teaching proper sitting, Krishna now teaches Arjuna how to meditate. Achalam means unmoving. You just sit straight, your back very straight, pinpointed, looking at the tip of your nose. If your eyes are closed, you will sleep. So the eyes will be half open. If the eyes are open widely, you will see so many distractions. So they should be half open. Then you'll be staring at the tip of your nose. Then you are meditating on the Lord in the heart. In this Astanga Yoga. It is good process. Dhruva Maharaj, after all, attained perfection through it. But it is very difficult and it's not recommended for this age. The process of yoga recommended for this age is Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama Eva Kevalam. Kalau Nasyeva, Nasyeva, Nasyeva Gatiyanta. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This is the yoga recommended for this age. Okay? Okay. So the results attained after long practice of this is described in the next verse. What is the result of this kind of practice of Astanga Yoga? Verse 15. Verse 15. Yujam evam sadat manam yogini yatamanasa santi nirvana paramam mat sangstam Matsamstam, Adiga Shati. Thus, practicing constant control of the body, mind, and activities, the mystic transcendentalist, his mind regulated, attains to the kingdom of God or the abode of Krishna by cessation of material existence. Somebody should read the purport.
The ultimate goal in the practicing yoga is now clearly explained. For enable the cessation of material existence.
Anandaji Prabhu, your voice is in ecstasy, so somebody has to read. Network demon has tested your voice.
Purpose. The ultimate goal in practicing yoga is now clearly explained here. Yoga practice is not meant for attaining any kind of material facility. It is to enable the cessation of all material existence. One who seeks an improvement in health or aspires after material perfection is no yogi, according to Bhagavad Gita. Nor that cessation of material existence entail one's entry into the void, which is only a myth. There is no void anywhere within the creation of the Lord. Rather, the cessation of material existence enables one to enter into the spiritual sky. The abode of the Lord. The abode of the Lord is also clearly described in the Bhagavad Gita as that place where there is no need of sun, moon, or electricity. All the planets in the spiritual kingdom are self-illuminated like the sun in the material sky. The kingdom of God is everywhere, but the spiritual sky and the planets thereof are called Param Dharma, or superior abode. A consummate yogi who is perfect in understanding Lord Krishna, as is clearly stated herein by the Lord himself, Mat Pita, Mat Para, Mat Stanam, can attain real peace and can ultimately reach its supreme abode, Krishna Loka, known as Goloka Vrindavan. In the Brahma Samhita 537, it is clearly stated, Goloka Eva Nivasati Mabuta. The Lord, although residing always in his abode, called Goloka, is the all-pervading Brahman and the localized Paramatma, as well by dint of his superior spiritual energy. No one can reach the spiritual sky, Vaikuntha, or enter into the Lord's eternal abode, Goloka Vrindavan, without a proper understanding of Krishna and his plenary expansion vision. Therefore, a person working in Krishna consciousness is the perfect yogi because his mind is always absorbed in Krishna's activities. Savai Mana Krishna Padara Vrindayo. In the Vedas also, Sweta Swatara Upanishad 3.8, we learn that Tam Eva Viditwati Mritum Ete. One can overcome the path of birth and death only by understanding the Supreme Personality of God, Krishna. In other words, perfection of yoga system is the attainment of freedom from material existence, and not some magical jugglery or gymnastic feats to be full innocent people. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. The purpose of yoga is freedom from material existence. Yes. Perfection of yoga system is the attainment of liberation from material existence, and not some magical jugglery or gymnastic feats to be full innocent people. So that is it. The purpose of yoga is very clear. Is to have a direct realization of the super soul or the Lord in the heart. This is the purpose of yoga. is to have a direct perception of the Lord in the heart, and exchange relationship is to realize the super soul, and not health, and not good health, good body for sense gratification. That is not the purpose of yoga. Therefore, all the yoga processes, all the yoga clubs we are seeing in the material world now, they are all misdirected because the goal is just bodybuilding for sense gratification. Finish. For rigorous, determined, terminated sense gratification. That is why they are doing yoga. To get good health, then you can indulge in simple activities more. So the goal is distorted, but the actual goal of yoga is to realize the super soul. So a yogi must know the super soul if he wants something, nirvana, parana, the cessation of material existence. Yes, if you say you are a yogi, you must know the super soul. Yes, if you really want cessation from material existence, you want to become free from material existence as a true yogi, you must realize the super soul. You must carefully avoid the desire for mystic cities. Otherwise, you will not progress. Because even those Astanga yogis, mystic cities are automatic byproducts. They attain mystic perfections, as they are doing the Astanga yoga. And those mystic perfections can now distract them, and they become carried away by the mystic perfections, and they want to utilize them, and they lost the focus. Just like Dhruva Samuni is a yogi, and he knows he has a lot of mystic powers, and become bewildered by the mystic powers. So he go everywhere trying to torment people, trying to establish his mystic power over them. Sometimes he even go to devotees to try to explain, to exhibit it. And he gets chastised in the process. It was intoxication from mystic power that Dhruva Samuni went to antagonize Ambarish Maharaj. And he was humiliated. You see, so that is it. Once you know the purpose of yoga, the purpose of yoga is to realize the super soul and nothing else. And if there is any other purpose, that means it's a misdirected yoga practice. The ultimate goal in practicing yoga is now clearly explained. Yoga practice is not meant for attaining some kind of material facility. No. It is to enable the cessation of all material existence. One who seeks an improvement in health or aspires after material perfection is no yogi, according to Bhagavad Gita. Okay? There is business, yoga business. Three great flaws in the processes of karma, jnana, and yoga. Dangers within each of the processes make them hazardous for the aspiring transcendentalists. That is, they each offer powerful temptations. In karma, whether it is Kama Kanda or Sakama Kama Yoga, one tends to become attached to the fruit of one's work. So if you are doing Kama Yoga, whether it is Kama Kama or Sakama Kama Yoga, the purpose of that yoga is for economic development. When you develop economically, the next thing is sense gratification. Economic development for sense gratification. That is why people do Astanga yoga. Not Astanga yoga, people do Kama yoga, Sakama Kama yoga. They want economic development, they want prosperity for sense gratification. And that is danger, because sense gratification will take you far away from the actual goal of yoga. Okay? Karma calm down. One tends to become attached. Then with Jnana yoga, the desire to merge into Brahman thinking of the glories of freedom from both anxiety and service. Service attempts. One becomes attached to wanting to march into Brahma effulgence. And when you march there, you become nothing. After some times, you will fall down again. Because the soul is by nature active. So it's not secure. Then in Astanga Yoga, one tends to desire mystic cities. You want to attain mystic powers, just like Ambarisma, Durva Samuni, mystic cities, that one becomes powerful and can even override the laws of nature. But a Bhakta, however, forever remains Krishna's servant and thus avoid those hindrances by keeping his mind absorbed in Krishna consciousness. So a Bhakta is better than an Astanga yogi. A Bhakta is better than a Jnana yogi. And a Bhakta is better than a Kama yogi. So become a Bhakta because your position as an eternal servant of Krishna is secured in Bhakti Yoga. Jivera Swarupa Haya, Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I can't hear the sound anymore.
Oh, wow. Hare Krishna, we can't hear again. Oh, whether a network problem. Oh, we can't hear again.
It's network problem. He's disconnected.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please, Prabhu request everyone to wait for him. Nobody should leave. Having some network issues, so he's trying to rectify it. So he said everybody should wait. Please, arrest it.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. I'm really sorry. I didn't know what happened, but maybe I don't know whether it's network or something. My distance just went off. So sorry for that. Okay. Somebody should read the translation to text 16, please.
Nati asnastas tuyo gosti na chaikantam anasanata na chati swapna silasya jagrato naiva chajuna. Translation. There is no possibility of one's becoming a yogi, O Arjuna. If one eats too much or eats too little, sleeps too much or does not sleep enough. Purport. Purport also.
Read the purpose.
Can you hear me at all?
I'm hearing you. Oh, you're not hearing me.
Okay.
I'm hearing you.
Regulation of diet and sleep is recommended herein for the yogis. Too much eating means eating more than is required to keep the body and soul together. There is no need for men to eat animals because there is an ample supply of grains, vegetables, fruits, and milk. Such simple foodstuff is considered to be in the mode of goodness, according to Bhagavad Gita. Animal food is for those in the mode of ignorance. Therefore, those who indulge in animal food drinking, smoking, and eating food which is not first offered to Krishna will suffer sinful reactions because of eating only polluted things. Punjate te tu agam papaye pachanti at makaranat. Anyone who eats for sense pleasure or cooks for himself, not offering his food to Krishna, eats only sin. One who eats sin and eats more than is allotted to him cannot execute perfect yoga. It is best that one eat only the remnant of foodstuffs offered to Krishna. A person in Krishna consciousness does not eat anything which is not first offered to Krishna. Therefore, only the Krishna conscious person can attain perfection in yoga practice. Nor can one who artificially abstains from eating, manufacturing his own personal process of fasting, practice yoga. The Krishna conscious person observes fasting as it is recommended in the scriptures. He does not fast or eat more than is required, and he is thus competent to perform yoga practice. One who eats more than required will dream very much while sleeping, and he must consequently sleep more than is required. One should not sleep more than 6 hours daily. One who sleeps more than 6 hours out of 24 is certainly influenced by the mode of ignorance. A person in the mode of ignorance is lazy and prone to sleep a great deal. Such a person perform yoga. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, sorry for the distraction. Sorry, I had the call. Yes, eating, our eating habits should be regulated if we want to succeed in our practice of yoga. Our sleeping habits should be regulated if we want to succeed in our practice of yoga. In any kind of yoga, whether Kama yoga, Ashtanga yoga, or Bhakti yoga, there should be regulated eating. That's why, first of all, it is recommended in Bhagavad Gita for us to eat fruits, vegetables, water, grains, vegetarian. That's why we are vegetarian, but we are not only vegetarians. Krishna devotees are prasadamarians. Krishna devotees are prasadamarians. That means they are only permitted to eat prasadam, food that is first offered to Krishna. Otherwise, even the vegetarian food, you will incur some sinful reactions because you are killing living entities. Yes, they are living entities. But when it is offered to Krishna as Krishna requested, then the sinful reaction is taken away. Krishna absorbs the reaction and he gives us the yoga there. So this is the science of Krishna consciousness. A devotee should be a prasadamarian. You should eat only food that is offered to Krishna. Even if it is vegetarian food, first offer it to Krishna. Practically speaking, however, if you are traveling and you are in some situations, the process of offering might be according to time and circumstance. You can buy your fruits, you wash the fruit, and you can, in your meditation, just pray, just like how everybody, you can just say prayers. But in that prayer, you are offering the food to Krishna. Then you can take it. Understand? If you are traveling, you can take things and offer very casually. But if you are at home and you are practicing devotee, you should have a small altar in your in your house. Then whenever you cook, you offer the food there in your altar. Then you take the remnant as Krishna Prasad. So devotees will take only by taking prasad alone, you are regulated to be qualified to be a yogi. So a prasadamarian is qualified to do yoga. Okay? You cannot be eating flesh and other things, then you consider yourself a yogi. And if ordinarily, even the prasadam, you should not eat too much. You have to regulate your eating. Because the recommendation is that half of your stomach, you can fill it with prasadam. Then half of it you should fill with water. No, 1/4 of it you should fill with water. Then the other half should be with air. There should be space for air. So food itself is half. Then the other half is divided into two. The first quarter is with water. Then the last quarter will be air. This is the recommended process. And for sleeping, the devotee should not sleep more than 6 hours. This is the recommendation. That's why by 9 o'clock, a devotee is asleep. 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3 o'clock, a devotee is expected to be awake. And this, you can practice it even in your own house. In other words, first, you need to just regulate your activities. You regulate your activities in such a way that by 9 o'clock, you just shut down everything, you go to bed. By 3 o'clock, you are awake. And when you wake, you don't go back to sleep. You just take your bath and you start chanting. If you have something to study, you can divide, you can schedule the time. After you wake, you bath, you can make your studies, then you chant. But you should not sleep too much. If you sleep too much, it will be tantamount to laziness. If you eat too much, it will be tantamount to overeating. And if you eat too little also, it is tantamount to undereating. When we say we believe in fasting, but our fasting is not scheduled whimsically. There are scriptural dates for fasting. On those days, we can fast according to the prescription. But generally, for you to remain healthy, you should not overeat also. Even though the food is very appetizing, you should eat only that which is needed, where your stomach can digest nicely. So half of the stomach, food can enter, then there will be water, half, and 1/4, then air, 1/4. This is the recommended process. If you are following this and your stomach is healthy, then generally your body will be healthy also. So that is the process. And it is seriously said in Bhagavad Gita 3:13 that Jagya Sistantino Santo Mushiante Salva Kilbisai Bunjate Te Tu Agampapa Ye Pachanti Atmakarana. Jagya Sistantino Santo Mushiante Salva Kilbisai Bunjate Te Tu Agampapa Ye Pachanti Atmakarana. The food offered to Vishnu. Food must be offered to Vishnu first before one takes the remnant. Otherwise, one eats only sin. Because when cooking, you grind your pepper, you grind your spices, you have already grinded so many living entities. When you fetch your water, put it in the pot, you've already boiled plenty living entities. The fire itself, so many microscopic living entities are consumed in the fire while you are cooking. So in any circumstance, just to eat, you'll be committing serious violence, even unknowingly. Therefore, when the food is offered, if the food is not offered to Krishna, all the reactions of the living entity you kill in the process of cooking will be accredited to you. You'll be part of your credit or debit. But if the food is offered to Krishna, Krishna takes away those unavoidable sinful reactions. Then it will give you the prashadam. So you are taking it as the Lord's mercy. You will not be entangled. This is the formula. You got it? So a yogi who is already a Bhakti yogi, the whole process is offered to him. We help you to set up a altar. And if you cannot set up a altar, you always offer your food with some prayers before you take it. If the situation holds you, Krishna knows your innermost intention, and he responds to that. If circumstances do not allow you to follow, elaborate offering procedure, Krishna will understand as Bhava Grahi Janardana. He is in the heart, and he will reciprocate. He will accept your offering. So this is how it is done. So to qualify yourself to be an Ashtanga yogi, these are some of the regulatory principles. The whole thing is very easy. If you are in Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna. Verse 17. I don't know why they are warning me anyhow for that like this. They are warning me anyhow for that. Before you realize, they will come and turn me off again. Yukta hara viharasya, yukta chetasya kamasu, yukta swapna vabhudasya, yogo bhavati dukkha. He who is regulated in his habits of eating, sleeping, recreation, and work can mitigate all material pains by practicing yoga system. So this is further explanation, further description of the regulations or the necessity of regulated life in yoga practice. So somebody should read the purport. We have to go fast because I'm getting warning from my network system. So if it goes off, I may not come back.
Extra vengeance in the matter of eating, sleeping, defending, and mating, which are demands of the body, can block advancement in the practice of yoga. As far as eating is concerned, it can be regulated only when one is practicing to take and accept prasadam, sanctified food, that Krishna is offered according to. Okay, Lord Krishna is offered according to the Bhagavad Gita 9:26, vegetables, flowers, fruits, grains, milk, etc. In this way, a person in Krishna consciousness becomes automatically trained not to accept food not meant for human consumption, not degree of goodness. As far as sleeping is concerned, a Krishna conscious person is always alert in the discharge of his duties in Krishna consciousness, and therefore, any unnecessary time spent sleeping is considered a great loss. Avyata Kala Swam. A Krishna conscious person cannot bear to pass a minute of his life without being engaged in the service of the Lord. Therefore, his sleeping is kept to a minimum. His ideal in this respect is Srila Goswami, who was always engaged in the service of Krishna and who could not sleep more than 2 hours a day. And sometimes not even that. Sakura Haridas would not even accept prasadam, nor even sleep for a moment without finishing his daily routine of chanting with his beats 300,000 names. As far as work is concerned, A Krishna conscious person does not do anything which is not connected with Krishna's interest. And thus, his work is always regulated and unhinged by sense gratification. Since there is no question of sense gratification, there is no material leisure for a person in Krishna consciousness. And because he is regulated in all his work, speech, sleep, wakefulness, and all other bodily activities, there is no material miseries for him. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Hare Krishna. That is very nice. So you had it all. Without regulation, there is no yoga. Yoga starts with mind and sense control. Any form of yoga you want to do, these are basic regulations. But to be fully absorbed in Krishna conscious activities is to become protected by the regulations in the Bhakti Yoga. So that is it. Avyata Kalatwan, a devotee does not waste time in unnecessary things. So his life is regulated. He does not waste time reading mundane literatures. He does not waste time attending to all kinds of parties. He does not waste time in all kinds of activities that are not related to pleasing Krishna. So automatically his life is regulated. And by the same token, he does not eat food that is not offered to Krishna. And that is his protection. So let us live a regulated life and we become yogis, especially yogis in devotion. Okay. Let's see if we can do 18 and 19 before we stop. Yada vini yatam chitam atmani eva vastitate nisprea salva kamebhyo yukta iti uchyate tada. When the yogi, by practice of yoga, disciplines his mental activities and becomes situated in transcendence, devoid of all material desires, is said to be well established in yoga. Somebody should read the purport. Okay,
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare
18.
carry on.
Upward. The activities of the yogi are distinguished from those of an ordinary person by his characteristics, cessation from all kinds of material desires, of which sex is the chief. A perfect yogi is so well disciplined in the activities of the mind that he can no longer be disturbed by any kind of material desire. This perfection stage can automatically be attained by persons in Krishna consciousness, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 9:4, 18 to 20.
Let me read
By
it. Bhaimana Krishna Padara Vindayo Vacham Sivai Kunta Gunanu Banani Karau Hari Mandira Marjana Disu Shrutin Chakarachuta Satkatudaye Mukunda Linga Laya Dasanedriso Tadbrit Yagatra Sparse Angasanganam Granam Chatatpada Saroja Surabi Srimad Tulasya Rasanam Tad Apite Dau Arishetra Padanu Sapane Siro Irisike Sabadambi Badane Kamam Chadasye Natukama Kamyaya Yatu Tamasloka Janashrayarati.
King Ambarish first of all engaged his mind on the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. Then, one after another, he engaged his words in describing the transcendental qualities of the Lord, his hands in mopping the temple of the Lord, his ears in hearing of the activities of the Lord, his eyes in seeing the transcendental form of the Lord, his body in touching the bodies of the devotees, his senses of smell in smelling the scent of the lotus flower offered to the Lord, his tongue in tasting the tulasi leaf offered to the lotus feet of the Lord, his legs in going to places of pilgrimage and the temple of the Lord, his head in offering obeisances unto the Lord, and his desires in executing the mission of the Lord. All these transcendental activities are quite befitting a pure devotee. This transcendental stage may be inexpressible subjectively by the followers of the impersonalist path, but it becomes very easy to practical for a person in Krishna consciousness, as is apparent in the above description of the engagement of Maharaj Ambarish. Unless the mind is fixed on the lotus feet of the Lord by constant remembrance, such transcendental engagements are not practical. In the devotional service of the Lord, therefore, these prescribed activities are called archana, or engaging all the senses in the service of the Lord. These senses and the mind require engagements. Simple abnegation is not practical. Therefore, for people in general, especially those who are not in the renounced order of life, transcendental engagement of the senses and the mind, as described above, is the perfect process for transcendental achievement, which is called yukta in the Bhagavad Gita.
So these are the activities of a yoga yukta. Therefore, a Vaishnava, a devotee in Krishna consciousness, is secured, is well situated in yoga, because he has mastered the art and science of engaging the senses in the service of the master of the senses. This is active engagement of the senses in devotional activities. And that is the security of a devotee. And that automatically situates him properly on the path of transcendence. But to try to artificially control the mind and the senses is impracticable. Simple abnegation, that is the meaning. Abnegation means to just, okay, I don't want to see. I don't want to hear anything. So you will block your ears with cotton wool. I don't want to smell. You block your nostril with cotton wool or what? So all that is impracticable. Simple abnegation of the senses is not practicable. You cannot keep the mind steady like that without positively engaging. That's why Krishna consciousness process is a process of replacing lower engagement with higher engagement. This is called param driswa nivartante. And this is what controls the senses automatically. You withdraw from sense gratification, but the senses must be positively engaged in devotional activities. That is our security. And for one who is thus engaged, he is well situated in yoga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. And that is exactly why the engagement, devotional engagement in devotional service, as enunciated in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, is a very powerful, dynamic packaging, of positive engagement of the senses in transcendental activities. We eat, but we don't eat boga, food that is not offered to the Lord. We eat only food that is first offered to the Lord for sacrifice. We sing, but we don't sing mundane songs. We sing the glories of the Lord. We dance, but we don't dance to reggae or some mundane rapping songs or some songs glorifying sex. We sing to the glories of the Lord. So by positively engaging the senses in positive devotional activities, purification is automatic. The packaging is so nice. We are hearing, but we don't hear nonsense. We don't hear some speculations or some frustrated, disgruntled individuals. We hear what Krishna has said about himself, about his creation, about the world. You see? So the hearing process is well utilized, properly utilized by the grace of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So this sets our movements apart from all other type of movements, all type of yoga movements. where they do not even know how to transmute that I'm not this body, I'm a spiritual, everything belongs to God, into its practical equivalent. But in Krishna consciousness, this is possible by the grace of His divine grace love. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. So even by doing the highest activities, we don't even know that we are doing activities. We are just transcendentally absorbed. And by that, we are secured. And the example of Ambarish Maharaj is given. You can see Ambarish Maharaj constantly engaged. He engages all his senses. And this is how we should also engage our senses in the service of the Lord, because we cannot stay without activities. Otherwise, we'll be deceiving ourselves. So we should replace, once again, replacing lower engagement with higher engagement is one of the components, of transmitting theoretical knowledge into its realized equivalent. This is one of the components. Then the second thing is strong sastric intelligence. This is the recommendation. For sadhakas like you and me, we need strong sastric intelligence. We need to study the scripture to acquire knowledge that we are not this body, we are spirit, so everything is part and parcel of Krishna. And so we have to have a strong sastric intelligence. We have to sharpen our weapon of detachment with strong sastric intelligence. Sharpen with strong sastric intelligence. Then we get reciprocation from the super soul, the Lord in the heart. You see? And by engaging in positive devotional activities. When we are doing positive devotional activities, we are meditating on the Lord, directly or indirectly. Then the Lord also meditates on us and grants us, He reciprocates our efforts. Then He drags us through. That's why we say the Guru is there to help us. So anytime we are deviating, we spank us by chastisement, then we use the other hand to pacify us. Oh, I'm not spanking you because I hate you. I'm spanking you because I want you to rectify your consciousness. So this is a father spanking his little boy. In this way, the Guru will help us so that we can always be on track, so that the restless mind and the senses will not take us away from our path. So this is the beauty of Krishna consciousness. Positive engagement, not negation. Okay? Then verse 19. Yata dipo nibatasto nengate sopama smrita yogino yata chitasya nyunjato yogam atmananga. As a lamp in a windless place does not waver, so the transcendentalist whose mind is controlled remains always steady in his meditation on the transcendental self. Purport.
Purport. A truly Krishna conscious person, always absorbed in transcendence, in constant undisturbed meditation on his worshipable Lord, is as steady as a lamp in a windless place.
You all know a lamp in a windless place. When you lock the door, you lock all the windows, and you light a lamp. Even a candle, it does not waver because the air is locked out. Air is the active force that animates the lower energy called the flame. Air is superior to flame, so it will agitate it. It wavers. When you put a candle outside of your door, you see that the wind will just try to even off it. So, but a lamp in a windless place does not waver. So he said, as a lamp in a windless place does not waver, so the transcendentalist, whose mind is controlled, who is now a yoga yukta, his mind is controlled, his intelligence is controlled. He remains always steady in his meditation on the transcendental self. So this is it. This is the process we are in, the process of intelligence purification, the process of mind purification, the process of sense control. And these are all controlled automatically by positive engagement in devotional activities. So all glories to devotional service, by whose process even a fallen soul in the corner of Africa can practice transcendental knowledge by whose grace even a fool can understand the conclusive truths, of the scriptural injunctions. Even a lame can climb a mountain. Packaging, all glories to all their chariots in the line of honor. So, thank you very much. Okay, no. The time is gone. So thank you very much. We see you on Thursday. To move fast. We cover up to 30. So if you miss it, so try to attend. Try your best. We fix the time in the evening so that people will be able to participate. But last week we experienced a total, non-attendance, and that is not good enough. So thank you very much for your sacrifice. Confounder Sharas Laisi Bhakti Vedanta Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Yeah.
Jamasa Mataji has an announcement to make. You have an announcement?
Hare Krishna. No, I'm just saying thank you very much, Prabhu. And the Thursday classes, we should be there, please. The last one, I think it was only one person.
Yes, only 2 persons.
Okay, only 2 persons. And also the
Yes.
fees. That's all.
Yeah. The course fees, those who have not paid should please pay. All those in Nigeria should pay to Jamasami Mataji. All those who are here in Ghana should bring their fee to me. Pay. And those who have already paid, actually, they should still pay more if they can. Aribo. So that is it. Hare Krishna. See, the more you give, the more it helps. Sometimes, because of not paying, we find it difficult to get data to even come on board. So it's a transcendental sacrifice if you're able to facilitate us. So from time to time, when you come across some Lashmi, you should just call Jamasami in Nigeria, call Jamasami Mandaji, send to her to support data, They should buy some data package. And then if you are here, the same thing. This morning, I had to call some people to send me credit. That's why I loaded it in a way that it went up at a particular time. Then I have to go back and come out again. So we want to avoid those things. We need data. And if you are supporting in this way, Krishna will also support you in whatever you are doing. So this is the whole thing. Don't limit yourself to the cost fee. If you have the capability, support. Support is transcendental investment. Okay? Hare Krishna. Thank you. Jai Srila Prabhupada, Riki. Jai. Have a nice Sunday. Enjoy yourself. But please, on Thursday, kindly attend. Arrivo. And also, please work on your impersonalism also. Work on your impersonalism. Not showing your face, hiding behind the camera, sometimes eating, sometimes doing so many things, cooking, sometimes on your camera so that at least we'll be seeing you. Otherwise, it demoralizes the speaker too. You are like talking to yourself alone. So please, please.
Like you are afraid of your data. Like you are afraid of your data. We are also afraid of our data. Owning the camera, we consume data. Consume
Sure?
data a lot. Yes.
Okay,
Zoom
at least you can.
It's the camera. It is the video camera.
You can
So
on your
you are
camera.
also you're also managing data here. Please, we beg.
Only for half of the time. Let us see you. We are not impersonalists now.
Hare Krishna, Baba.
You can on now before you go up. On your data, so before you go up, if you are actually there. Dr. Elvis, on your video. Balabadra, on your video. Dr. Ato, on your video. Let us see you. Ragupati, on your video. You don't want us to know you or what? Your identity, Professor. Oh, glories. Hare Krishna. Remain Bhakta Balabhadra. Balabhadra Prabhu and Prana Priya Mataji on your videos. And Ragupati also. Let us know who our classmates and god brothers here. At least we can see Bhakta Elvis, Bhakta Actor, Purushotama Yatra, the youngest god brother here, Ragupati Prabhu. This is the youngest among them.
Program, she has gone down.
Jamasami on.
She's getting ready for program. So she's dressing up.
Okay, no problem. Thank you. See you next week, Thursday.